I want you to picture two coworkers, same company, same job title, same salary, both earning $55,000 a year. Every single month, both of them do the responsible thing. They save money, they skip the fancy dinners, they skip the vacations, they tell themselves they are being smart with money. The first person puts $400 every month into their savings account at their local bank. They watch the balance grow. They feel proud. After 5 years, they have saved $24,000. They sleep well at night, knowing that money is sitting there, safe, protected, growing. The second person also saves $400 every month, but they put it somewhere different, not a regular savings account, somewhere else entirely. After the same 5 years, they have $31,000. Same income, same discipline, same amount saved every month, but a $7,000 difference. Now here is what makes this really uncomfortable. The first person didn't just miss out on $7,000. They actually got poorer, not because they spent recklessly, not because they made bad decisions, but because they did exactly what they were taught to do. Save your money, put it in the bank, let it sit. Nobody told them that, while their money was sitting in that account earning almost nothing, inflation was quietly eating it alive. Every single year, every single month, every single day. That knot in your stomach right now, that feeling that something is wrong with a system you were told to trust, that feeling is correct. Today I am going to show you exactly what your savings account is doing to your money while you sleep. And more importantly, I am going to show you what to do instead. Because the difference between those two coworkers was not luck. It was not income. It was one single piece of information that most people never get told. Let's get into it. Let me explain exactly what is happening to your money right now. Your bank is paying you somewhere between 0.01% and 0.5% interest on your savings. That sounds like something. It sounds like your money is growing. But here's the problem. Inflation in the United States has been running between 3% and 4% every single year. What does that mean in real terms? It means that every year the cost of everything you buy goes up by 3% to 4%. Groceries, rent, gas, healthcare, everything. And your savings account is only growing by 0.01% to 0.5%. So, while you think your money is safe and growing, it is actually losing purchasing power every single day. Let me give you the actual numbers so this becomes impossible to ignore. If you have $10,000 sitting in a regular savings account today, earning 0.5% interest, after 1 year, you have $10,050. Sounds fine, right? But inflation at 3.5% means that same $10,000 worth of goods now costs $10,350. Your account has $10,050, but you need $10,350 to buy the same things. You are $300 poorer, not because you spent anything, not because you made any mistakes, but because you trusted the system everyone told you to trust. Now, multiply that by 5 years. Multiply that by 10 years. Multiply that by every dollar you have sitting in a regular savings account right now. The number gets very uncomfortable very fast. This is not a coincidence. This is not an accident. Your bank knows exactly what they are doing with your money while it sits in that account. And what they are doing with it is making themselves rich while you slowly fall behind. Let me show you exactly how that works. Here is what your bank does not want you to think about. The moment you deposit your money into a savings account, your bank takes that money and lends it out to other people at interest rates between 6% and 24%. Your neighbor who took out a personal loan, the small business owner who needed a line of credit, the person who financed their car. Your bank is taking your money, lending it to all of these people, collecting 6%, 10%, 15%, even 24% interest on it, and then turning around and paying you 0.5% for the privilege of using your money. Let that sink in for a second. Your bank is running a business with your money, a very profitable business, and you are the one funding it while collecting almost nothing in return. This is not illegal. This is not a conspiracy. This is simply how banking works and how it has always worked. The difference between people who build wealth and people who stay broke is not that wealthy people work harder. It is that wealthy people understand this system, and they refuse to be on the losing end of it. Now here is where it gets even more interesting. The banks that are doing this to your savings account are the exact same banks running commercials telling you to save more. Trust us with your money, we will keep it safe. And they will keep it safe. Safe for them to use and profit from, while you fall further behind inflation every single year. But here's the good news, and this is the part most people never get told. You do not have to play by these rules. The same financial system that is designed to keep your savings account earning almost nothing has created other vehicles specifically designed to actually grow your money. And the best part, they are just as safe, just as accessible, and available to anyone. Not just the wealthy, not just the financially sophisticated, anyone, including you. Let me show you exactly what those are. The first thing you need to know about is the high-yield savings account. And before you roll your eyes and say that is just another savings account, hear me out. Because the difference between a regular savings account and a high-yield savings account is not small. It is the difference between watching your money slowly die and actually keeping up with inflation. A regular savings account at your big traditional bank pays you 0.01% to 0.5% interest. A high-yield savings account at an online bank right now is paying between 4% and 5% interest. That is not a little better. That is literally 10 to 50 times more interest on the exact same money. Let me put that into real numbers. Remember that $10,000 we talked about earlier? In a regular savings account, earning 0.5%, that becomes $10,050 after 1 year. That same $10,000 in a high-yield savings account, earning 4.5%, becomes $10,450 after 1 year. That is $400 more, just from moving your money to a different account. No extra work, no extra risk, no extra anything, just a different account. Now, over 5 years, that $10,000 in a regular savings account becomes roughly $10,253. That same $10,000 in a high-yield savings account becomes roughly $12,462. That is a $2,209 difference from doing absolutely nothing except choosing a better account. And here is what makes this even more powerful. High-yield savings accounts are FDIC insured, just like your regular bank account. That means your money is protected up to $250,000 by the federal government. The exact same protection, the exact same accessibility. You can still withdraw your money whenever you need it. The only difference is that your money is actually working for you instead of working for your bank. Some of the most well-known high-yield savings accounts right now include Marcus by Goldman Sachs, Ally Bank, and Sophie. All of them are legitimate, all of them are FDIC insured, and all of them are paying dramatically more than your traditional bank. But here's the thing, a high-yield savings account is just the beginning, because while it helps you keep up with inflation, it does not help you beat inflation and actually build real wealth. For that, we need to go one step further. So, we have established that a high-yield savings account is dramatically better than a regular savings account. But I told you there is something even more powerful, something that does not just keep up with inflation, but actually beats it, builds on it, compounds on it year after year after year. And that something is investing in index funds. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Investing is risky. Investing is complicated. Investing is for people who understand the stock market. I used to think the same thing. And that thinking cost me years of wealth building that I can never get back. So, let me break this down as simply as possible. An index fund is not a single stock. You are not betting on one company. You are not trying to pick winners and losers. An index fund is a collection of hundreds or even thousands of companies bundled together into one single investment. When you invest in an S&P 500 index fund, for example, you are investing in the 500 largest companies in America, all at once. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Johnson & Johnson, Berkshire Hathaway, all of them, in one single investment. Now, here is the number that changes everything. Over the last 30 years, the S&P 500 has returned an average of 10% to 11% per year. Not every year is perfect. Some years it goes down, some years it goes up dramatically. But on average over time, 10% to 11% per year. Compare that to your savings account at 0.5%. Compare that to your high-yield savings account at 4.5%. 10% to 11% per year changes everything. Let me show you exactly what that means for your money over time. That same $10,000 we have been talking about. In a regular savings account, after 30 years, you have $11,614. In a high-yield savings account, after 30 years, you have $38,234. In an S&P 500 index fund, after 30 years, you have $174,494. Same $10,000. Same 30 years. Three completely different outcomes based entirely on where you put your money. $11,614 versus $174,494. That is not a small difference. That is the difference between struggling in retirement and being completely financially free. And here is the most important part. You do not need to be rich to start. You do not need thousands of dollars. Some index funds let you start with as little as $1. The barrier to entry has never been lower. The only thing standing between you and that $174,494 outcome is the decision to start. Now I know what the next question is. If index funds are so great, why doesn't everybody just put all their money in them and become rich? And that is actually a really important question. Because index funds are powerful, but they are not perfect for every dollar you own. And understanding which money goes, where is what separates people who build wealth intelligently from people who take unnecessary risks. Here is the framework that actually works. Think of your money in 3 separate buckets. Bucket 1 is your emergency fund. This is 3 to 6 months of living expenses that never gets invested, ever. This money lives in your high-yield savings account where it is safe, accessible, and at least keeping up with inflation. Why does this bucket exist? Because life happens. You lose your job, your car breaks down, a medical emergency hits. Without this bucket, you are forced to sell your investments at exactly the wrong time. Maybe the market is down 20% and you need cash immediately. Now you have locked in those losses permanently. Your emergency fund is what prevents that from ever happening. It is not exciting, it does not grow dramatically, but it is the foundation that makes everything else possible. Bucket 2 is your short-term savings. This is money you will need within the next 1 to 3 years. A down payment on a house, a wedding, a car purchase. This money also stays in your high-yield savings account, not because it will grow dramatically there, but because you cannot afford to lose it. If you put your house down, payment in index funds, and the market drops 30% right before you need the money, you are in serious trouble. Short-term money needs to be safe money. Bucket 3 is your long-term wealth-building money. This is money you will not touch for at least 5 years. Ideally, 10 years or more. This is the money that goes into index funds. This is the money that compounds at 10% to 11% per year. This is the money that turns $10,000 into $174,494 over 30 years. The 3-bucket system works because it gives every dollar a job. Your emergency fund gives you security. Your short-term savings gives you flexibility. Your long-term investments give you freedom. Most people fail financially, not because they never invested, but because they invested money they actually needed in the short term, and then panicked and sold when the market dropped. The 3-bucket system eliminates that mistake entirely. Once your buckets are set up correctly, the only job you have left is to keep filling them consistently every single month. Now, let me talk about something that nobody in the personal finance world wants to admit out loud. The biggest enemy of your wealth is not the stock market. It is not inflation. It is not even your bank stealing your interest. The biggest enemy of your wealth is you. Specifically, it is the version of you that checks their investment account when the market drops 20% and panics. The version of you that sees their portfolio go from $50,000 to $40,000 in a single month and immediately pulls everything out. The version of you that swore they were a long-term investor right up until the moment things got uncomfortable. This is called panic selling, and it is the single most wealth-destroying behavior that exists. Let me give you the actual numbers on this. The S&P 500 has averaged 10% to 11% per year over the last 30 years. But the average individual investor has only averaged about 4% per year over that same period. Same market, dramatically different results. Why? Because individual investors panic sell during downturns and miss the recovery. They pull their money out when things look scary and then wait too long to get back in. They miss the 10 best days in the market, which historically happen right after the worst days. And missing just those 10 best days over 30 years cuts your returns almost in half. This is why the most powerful investing strategy ever discovered is also the most boring one. You pick a simple low-cost S&P 500 index fund. You set up automatic contributions every single month on payday. And then you do absolutely nothing. You do not check it every day. You do not sell when it drops. You do not try to time the market. You just keep contributing automatically and let time do the work. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors who ever lived, has said repeatedly that for most people, a simple low-cost index fund held for decades will outperform almost every other investment strategy. Not because it is clever, but because it removes the human emotion that destroys returns. The best investment strategy is the one you can actually stick to. And the easiest strategy to stick to is the one that requires almost no decisions after the initial setup. Set it, automate it, forget it, and check back in 30 years. Let me address the elephant in the room. What about right now? What about the fact that the market feels uncertain? What about inflation? What about recession fears? What about everything happening in the economy right now that makes investing feel terrifying? I hear this constantly. People say I was going to start investing, but the timing just does not feel right. I am going to wait until things settle down. I am going to wait until the market recovers. I am going to wait until I feel more confident. And I need you to understand something very important. That wait is costing you more than you realize. Let me show you why timing the market is a myth that keeps ordinary people broke while wealthy people keep getting richer. Imagine two people. Both have $500 per month to invest. The first person starts investing immediately, every month without fail, regardless of what the market is doing. The second person waits. They watch the news. They wait for the perfect moment. They finally start investing 2 years later. After 30 years, the first person has roughly $986,000. The second person who waited just 2 years has roughly $808,000. That 2-year wait cost them $178,000. Not because they made bad investments, not because they picked wrong, simply because they waited. Now here is the part that makes this even more painful. The market does not care about your feelings. The market does not care about the news cycle. The market does not care about who is in the White House or what the Federal Reserve said last week. The market has survived world wars. It has survived financial crises. It has survived pandemics. It has survived every single scary moment in modern history. And it has come out higher on the other side every single time. Every single time. The people who got rich from the market are not the ones who timed it perfectly. They are the ones who stayed in it consistently. The best time to start investing was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Not next month, not after the election, not when things feel safer. Today. Because every single day you wait is a day of compounding you can never get back. And compounding does not care about your excuses. It only rewards action. Let me now give you the exact step-by-step action plan. No vague advice. No motivational fluff. Just the precise steps in the precise order that will move you from wherever you are right now to a place where your money is actually working for you instead of slowly dying in a regular savings account. Step 1. Open a high-yield savings account this week. Not next week. Not when you get around to it. This week, go to Ali Bank, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, or SoFi. The process takes less than 10 minutes. Transfer whatever you currently have in your regular savings account into your new high-yield savings account. You just went from earning 0.5% to earning 4.5% on the exact same money with zero additional effort. That is step 1 done. Step 2. Build your emergency fund first. Before you invest a single dollar, make sure you have at least 3 months of living expenses sitting in that high-yield savings account. Calculate your monthly expenses. Multiply by 3. That is your target. If you do not have that, yet set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your high-yield savings account every single payday. Treat it like a bill. Non-negotiable. Until that emergency fund is fully funded, nothing else matters more. Step 3. Open a brokerage account. Once your emergency fund is fully funded, open an investment account. If your employer offers a 401k with a company match, start there first. That match is free money, and you should never leave free money on the table. After maximizing your employer match, open a Roth IRA. In 2025, you can contribute up to $7,000 per year to a Roth IRA. The money grows completely tax-free. You pay no taxes on the gains, no taxes when you withdraw in retirement. It is one of the most powerful wealth-building tools available to ordinary Americans, and most people never use it. Step 4. Choose your investment. Keep it simple. Choose a total market index fund or an S&P 500 index fund. Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab all offer excellent low-cost options. Look for funds with expense ratios below 0.1%. That means you pay less than $1 per year for every $1,000 invested. Step 5. Automate everything. Set up automatic contributions on payday. Decide on a percentage of your income. Even 10% is a powerful start. Automate it so the money moves before you ever see it, before you can spend it, before you can talk yourself out of it. Automation is the single most powerful tool available to ordinary investors because it removes the human decision-making that destroys returns. Step 6. Never stop. Do not check your account every day. Do not panic when the market drops. Do not celebrate too hard when it goes up. Just keep contributing automatically every single month and let compounding do what it does. This 6-step plan is not complicated. It is not sophisticated. It does not require a financial advisor or a finance degree. It requires only consistency and patience, two things that are completely within your control, regardless of your income level. Let me bring you back to those two coworkers we started with. Same company, same job title, same salary of $55,000 a year, both saving $400 every month. But after 5 years, one had $24,000 and the other had $31,000. Now you know exactly why that gap existed, but here is what I did not tell you at the beginning, because I wanted you to feel the full weight of this by the time we got here. After 30 years, the story looks completely different. The first coworker who kept their money in a regular savings account has $168,000. They worked for 30 years. They saved faithfully every single month. They never missed a contribution, and they have $168,000. That sounds like a lot until you realize that inflation has made that $168,000 worth significantly less than it sounds. They are not financially free. They are not retired comfortably. They are hoping Social Security is enough to cover the gap. The second coworker who followed the steps we talked about today tells a completely different story. They opened a high-yield savings account immediately. They built their emergency fund. They opened a Roth IRA and automated $400 every month into a simple S&P 500 index fund. After 30 years, they have $905,000. Same income, same $400 per month, same 30 years. One has $168,000. The other has $905,000. The only difference was information. The only difference was knowing that a savings account is not an investment. Knowing that your bank profits from your ignorance, knowing that index funds exist and that time in the market beats timing the market every single time. That gap, that $737,000 gap between those two coworkers, that is not the gap between rich and poor. That is not the gap between lucky and unlucky. That is the gap between knowing and not knowing. And right now in this moment, you are on the right side of that gap. You have the information. You have the steps. You have everything you need to be the second coworker. The only question left is whether you will actually do something with it. Because information without action is just entertainment. And your future self does not need you to be entertained right now. Your future self needs you to open that high-yield savings account this week. Your future self needs you to build that emergency fund. Your future self needs you to automate those index fund contributions and never stop. The system was not designed with your wealth in mind, but now you know how to use it anyway. And that changes everything. If this video gave you something valuable, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe because there is so much more the system does not want you to know. And I will see you in the next one.